Hello everyone and welcome back to DET Coach's Beginner's Guide to the Duolingo English Test. In the previous lesson, we learned about the writing sample question type and response process. In this lesson, we'll learn a template for narrative prompts. When you see phrases such as describe a time, an experience, what happened, how did you respond, or what did you learn, the prompt is asking you to recall a specific experience. The goal of a narrative response is not to list abstract reasons. It is to let the reader clearly see how the event unfolded, how you responded, and why the experience is worth remembering. First, look at the sample prompt in the lesson materials. Describe a time when an unexpected change forced you to adjust a plan. What happened? How did you respond? And what did you learn? The prompt has three required parts: what happened, how you responded, and what you learned. Here, we'll use a group project presentation. The original plan was to complete the final rehearsal before the deadline, but one team member suddenly became ill and left part of the work unfinished. The goal, actions, result, and lesson that follow must all focus on this one presentation. The first paragraph of the template establishes the situation and goal. One experience that remains vivid in my memory occurred when... Specific context. At the time, I was determined to goal or expectation, so I was personally invested in the outcome. Fill the first slot with a specific context. Use a complete past tense clause to explain when the event happened and what you were doing at the time. Fill the second slot with your goal at the time. Because the frame already includes determined to, begin the slot directly with the base form of a verb. These two sentences first establish the background and show the reader why the change that follows affects you. The second paragraph is the main body of the narrative. A decisive moment came when, key development. Initially, first reaction or thought, but after taking a moment to assess the circumstances, I chose to main action or response. This seemed the most constructive response and allowed me to act with greater clarity and purpose. Ultimately, result or change. Use key development for the event that changed the original plan. Use first reaction for your genuine initial response, and main action for the primary action you then took. Finally, use result or change to explain what your action led to. The change, response, and result should have a clear cause and effect relationship. The third paragraph brings the experience to a close. The detail I remember most clearly is memorable detail. In retrospect, I came to understand that lesson, personal meaning, or reason stands out. That insight has stayed with me and continues to shape how I approach similar situations. For memorable detail, choose one specific detail that is easy to picture. It could be a result, something someone said, or a moment that changed your perspective. The final slot directly answers what you learned or why the experience has stayed in your memory. Now fill the template with the details chosen for this sample response. The specific context is, I was leading a history presentation 1 week before the deadline. The goal is, finish our final rehearsal by Monday. The key development is, a teammate became ill and left an important section unfinished. My first reaction is, felt worried about presenting incomplete research. The main action is, divide the missing work and rewrite the data explanation. The result is, we finished on time and gave a clear presentation. The memorable detail is, our revised graphs received the strongest feedback. The final lesson is, clear communication makes it easier for a team to adapt. All 8 slots come from the same experience. The action directly addresses the earlier change, and the result and lesson follow naturally. Now listen to the complete model response. One experience that remains vivid in my memory occurred when I was leading a history presentation 1 week before the deadline. At the time, I was determined to finish our final rehearsal by Monday, so I was personally invested in the outcome. A decisive moment came when a teammate became ill and left an important section unfinished. Initially, I felt worried about presenting incomplete research, but after taking a moment to assess the circumstances, I chose to divide the missing work and rewrite the data explanation. This seemed the most constructive response and allowed me to act with greater clarity and purpose. Ultimately, we finished on time and gave a clear presentation. The detail I remember most clearly is that our revised graphs received the strongest feedback. In retrospect, I came to understand that clear communication makes it easier for a team to adapt. That insight has stayed with me and continues to shape how I approach similar situations. Before submitting, check that the past tense is consistent, every sentence is complete, and subject-verb agreement, singular and plural forms, spelling, and punctuation are correct. The template establishes the order, but all 8 slots must contain specific details. Do not fill them with vague words such as good, important, or interesting. In the next lesson, we'll move on to Writing Sample 03, Descriptive and Explanatory Prompts. I'll see you in the next lesson.